everybody. I'm Chris McClure, and this is the CCHA Digest, our first edition of a new decade. Holiday tournament action was not exactly kind to CCHA entries this season, which is not to say that the action lacked excitement. There was plenty of that. Outside of tournament play, a couple of teams homestanding against non-league opponents came away with double victories. In the next half hour, a close look at all those games. We'll also take a look at the resumption of the league championship race this weekend, specifically how the schedule breaks down for all of the contenders. It begins in just a couple of moments, so stay with us on the CCHA Digest.
The 1989-90 Central Collegiate Hockey season is heating up, and now there's a publication covering it exclusively for you, the College Hockey Weekly. Each issue of this unique publication contains weekly reports on all the action from around the CCHA, as well as editorials, features, player profiles, and up-to-date statistics. The 1989-90 campaign should sizzle with excitement and captivate CCHA fans once again on the road to the Joe all the way to the NCAA Championship. Don't miss a single issue of the College Hockey Weekly, the only publication for the CCHA.
The best part about owning a bike is riding it. The worst part about owning a bike is finding a place to put it. Except for this bike. That's right, you're watching a full-size 10-speed bicycle being slipped into a custom-made storage bag. Introducing Bike Saver, the incredible new way to store and protect your bike. The Bike Saver forever solves the perpetual problem of bicycle storage and protection. Bike Saver is large enough to hold any size bike. It keeps out moisture, dirt, and dust, and protects your bike from rust. Your bike stays in perfect condition. Two powerful handles allow vertical or horizontal hanging. The Bike Saver means no more dirt all over the house, no more accidents in the living room. It's the only protection your bike will ever need. It's not available in stores anywhere, but you can get it now for the incredibly low price of $39.95.
To order your Bike Saver, call toll-free now, 1-800-543-2300. Use your Master or Visa card. Sorry, no CODs. Special savings available on multiple orders. Call now, 1-800-543-2300. That's 1-800-543-2300.
25 years ago, the legendary coach of Michigan Tech, John McGinnis, made a deal with officials of Olympia Stadium in Detroit for a holiday tournament. They called it the Great Lakes Invitational. In the first year, 5,900 fans came to the final game and saw Toronto beat Michigan Tech. The following year, Michigan and Michigan State were participating, and they wound up meeting in the final. Michigan won in 1966. Since those days, the long-ago dream of John McGinnis has grown into one of the crown jewels of the collegiate hockey world. The Great Lakes has graduated to Joe Louis Arena. Crowds approaching 22,000 have watched some of the final games. But not since those infant days had Michigan and Michigan State done battle for the GLI Championship. Until this year, the silver anniversary year. It all started late last Friday afternoon. Michigan and Northern Michigan in one semifinal, Michigan State and Michigan Tech in the other. Michigan's assignment figured to be a close game throughout, but the Wolverines came out firing. Ted Kramer set up the first goal. Beautiful pass out of the corner. Valentine converts 1-0 at 2:06. A minute later, David Roberts' lead pass from Brad Turner. He lags it in. Michigan off to a surprisingly quick start.
I thought we'd come out a little slow and work our way into the game, but I was kind of surprised how we came out and jumped right into it. And it was good.
It didn't stop there. A few moments later, the Wolverines on the power play. Rising drive by Dennis Felsner put them ahead 3-0. David Roberts on the assist. Power play a few moments later for Northern Michigan, and they did get a rebound goal from Beaufait to close the gap just a little bit. Turns out that was their only breath of fresh air in the whole game. Before the first period came to a close, Michigan got one more. Don Stone converts on a good feed from Mike Moose and a great individual effort, swatting it over the shoulder of Billy Pye, and after one, it's 4-1. In the second period of play, 2 goals were scored, and the Wolverines got them both. Another power play conversion conversion by Mark Ouimet as he tipped it off to the side of the cage from Felsner, 5-1. Don Stone got his second of the game on a good crossing pass from Stiver, 6-1 after 40 minutes of play. Michigan pretty much home free at this point, cruising along to their second straight Great Lakes final. One more goal. It came in the third period. Ted Kramer converts a rebound down in front. The final score, 7-1. Michigan, a winner against Northern Michigan. Now they had to stand by and wait to see who they would play in the final. It would be either Michigan State or Michigan Tech. This was a great game. Michael Stewart got the only strike in the first period. Feed from Kip Miller. Stewart converts, and the Spartans led after one period of play, just 1-0. Michigan Tech did make several bids to get back even in the contest. One of the best opportunities they had right here down in front. Great play by defenseman Steve Beadle to save the day, at least momentarily, for the Spartans. The right foot's the key. On the goal line, the puck kicked away, and the 1-0 lead preserved. But Reed McDonald did convert in the second period at 2:56 to tie the contest at 1 each as he drove it away from the glove hand of Jason Muzzatti. After 40 minutes of play, it remained a 1-all contest. And through the third period, both sides had tantalizing scoring chances. Pat Murray for the Spartans denied right here at the other end of the ice. Kip Noble of Michigan Tech denied right there by a great save from Jason Muzzatti. Finally, the Spartans got the lead goal. It came at 15:41 of the third period. Kerry Russell getting a puck bouncing around down deep. He got just enough lumber on it to get it behind Damian Rhodes, and the Spartans led it 2-1. A moment later, Steve Beadle, working against an empty net, shoved one in from the blue line. Turns out it was a game winner.
Yeah, tonight was a game we had to gut out a little bit. The shots weren't going in for us, but, we stuck to our game plan, and we kept pumping away, and finally, Rusty got us a goal there, and we got the penalties at the right time and capitalized.
Tech did have one more strike. Kelly Hurd got their second goal with 15 seconds to go, but the Spartans won it 3-2 and would face Michigan in the final. Last time out, the Spartans had won 11-4 against Michigan. Jason Muzzatti knew that this time it wouldn't happen that way.
I don't think so. From what I heard, they played really well against Northern, and, we got to work hard for victories. There are no easy victories, so it's going to be a grind against them tomorrow.
Prophetic words from Jason Muzzatti. The third meeting of this season between Michigan and Michigan State was a beauty. Even though it had no bearing on the CCHA championship race, it was for a trophy, it was for pride. It was Michigan against Michigan State. The Wolverines had an opportunity for their second straight GLI title if they could beat the Spartans. MSU was looking for its fifth title of the decade of the 80s. Michigan's defense was strong throughout the contest, and they did strike first. In the first period, at 8 minutes on the power play, Ted Kramer posted up out in front, got his 12th of the year as he tipped a drive from the blue line by Todd Copeland. David Roberts picked up the other assist, and the Wolverines, after 20 minutes of play, had a narrow 1-0 edge. They expanded that early in the second period, again on the power play, which had served them well throughout the tournament. At 5:02, Rob Brown, breaking across the blue line on the left side, got a nice feed from Don Stone, and he put it in. 2-0, Michigan in front. Michigan State was struggling, not just to score, but to get shots, as the Wolverine defense was stellar. But Kerry Russell finally took things all to himself, and a great individual move on the left-hand side got in alone against Warren Sharples and put in the Spartans' first goal. It came at 12:43 of the second period on an assist from Walt Bartels, and it was a 2-1 contest. The partisan Michigan State crowd was on fire, looking for more, and they got it 3 minutes later. Jason Woolley and a 2-on-1 break with Rob Woodward on his left side. Perfect feed. Woodward did not miss, and it was a 2-2 game with 25 minutes left in the contest. But before the second period ended, Mark Ouimet put the Wolverines back in front. Ted Kramer and David Roberts on the assist. A powerful shot from the little man, Ouimet. It got through the pads of Jason Muzzatti. The time, 17:54 the second. And after 2 periods of play, Michigan still had the 1-goal edge, this time 3-2. In the third period, everyone knew the first score would be all important. Michigan got it. Mike Moose, his 9th of the year at 5:31, from Stiver and Copeland. It made the score 4-2 and wound up as the eventual game winner. Michigan State did have one more answer. Thompson to Miller to Pat Murray for his 14th of the campaign, closing it to a 4-3 game. But Michigan came right back to jump their lead back up to 2 for the third time in the game. Dan Stiver from Stone and Moose at 17-26 made it 5-3. In the late going, Michigan State pulled the netminder Jason Muzzatti, and Ted Kramer put one into the empty net for the final 6-3 margin. 2 in a row at the Great Lakes for the University of Michigan. A fine moment for Red Berenson.
It was a big challenge for us. Playing Northern, we didn't know what to expect, but I thought our team started off very well in the first period, and we looked better than we've looked at any of the tournaments in the past. And we just got stronger as the tournament went on, and I thought tonight we played a strong game against State. It was a great game. Anyone could have won it, but I felt our team, we stayed in the game right to the end, and we made our chances count.
Last year at the Great Lakes, Michigan had stormed back to beat North Dakota in the final. Mike Moose had the game winner in overtime for that victory. This year, again, in the final, Mike Moose had the game-winning goal.
Well, I've been lucky since the 4 years we've been playing here. I've had some very successful games, and the team has found some success at this building, and we hope to continue that, down the road in postseason play in the playoffs. So,
as might be expected, Michigan did dominate the all-tournament team at the Great Lakes in Detroit. Warren Sharples, the Wolverine netminder with 2 victories, was the tournament's most valuable player. And it turned out that Michigan was the only CCHA team to win a holiday tournament this year, though 2 others did get into finals before misfiring. For the second time in 3 years, it would be Maine and Bowling Green for the championship of the Dexter Classic. This time, the homestanding Black Bears had the proper measure of things. But it took the Bears a little while to get on track. Bowling Green led after the first period 2-1 on goals by Matt Ruckty and Rob Blake. But 4 straight from Maine in the first 15 minutes of the second period put them in a 5-2 lead and a commanding position. Ruckty had another one for Bowling Green in that period, but Maine also answered with just 56 seconds to go in the second and led after 2 stanzas 6-3. In the third period, they split the goals. Each got 1, and Maine won that championship by a final score of 7-4. 2 players from Bowling Green were selected as members of the all-tournament team in Maine: defenseman Rob Blake and forward Nelson Emerson, with 1 entry from Minnesota and 4 from the Maine roster. Jean-Yves Roy of the Black Bears was the most valuable player. 3 other CCHA teams had tournament action last weekend. In a moment, we'll take a look at them as the CCHA Digest continues.
I'm Bob Knoll. My official title is Head of Auto Testing for Consumer Reports magazine, but I really work for you.
And there are over 200 people who work for you at Consumer Reports. We test and report on everything from toothpaste to TVs. Right now is a good time to try Consumer Reports because you can get a free trial issue with no strings attached. Here are the details.
Call now for your free trial issue of Consumer Reports, the magazine that gives you all the pros and cons of a product, including price. Call now for your free trial issue, then decide. When the bill arrives, pay it and get 11 more issues, 12 in all, including the annual buying guide issue, for just $20. Or write cancel on the bill and owe nothing. If you do subscribe, you'll also get 2 free gifts: the New Medicine Show, updated and revised, plus the 1990 buying guide issue.
So put Consumer Reports to work for you. Call now.
Call now for Consumer Reports.
Call 1-800-472-3300. 1-800-472-3300.
For a real fan like me, the greatest games are the games I can replay over and over in my memory. Like 1951, Bobby Thompson's ninth-inning homer that won the flag for the Giants. And 1988, Kirk Gibson's clutch ninth-inning homer that won the series opener and set the stage for the Dodgers' victory. But all the great games aren't in the past. Lots of great ones are coming up. And one thing's for sure, the Sporting News will be there to bring you everything you need to know. The Sporting News, America's sports authority with the most complete weekly coverage of baseball, football, basketball, and hockey. Call now for the Sporting News at the lowest rate anywhere with convenient delivery right to your door.
Call 1-800-535-1700 and get 29 issues of the Sporting News for 4 payments of just $4.99. You'll save 69% off the cover price, 40% off the regular subscription rate. You can't get a better deal. Call now 1-800-535-1700. That's 1-800-535-1700.
Western Michigan was at the Syracuse Invitational last weekend. It was a frustrating pair of games for the Broncos, who, after being swept a pair by Michigan Tech a couple of weeks ago, have hit a slump. They've lost 6 in a row. Their first assignment was against number 3 ranked Colgate. Now, Bronco fortunes looked pretty good early. In fact, by the 11:22 mark of the first period, Western was cruising along with a 3-0 lead behind 2 goals from Shane Redshaw and a single tally from Paul Polillo. From that point forward, however, Colgate put on the brakes. They hit 5 straight goals, 1 in the first, 3 in the second, and 1 more in the third, and allowed the Broncos but a single additional marker, that one from Jason Jennings. The final, Colgate 5, Western 4, forcing the Broncos into the consolation game against Northeastern. It was a shootout. The two teams shared 5 goals in the first period, as Northeastern enjoyed a 3-2 advantage after 20 minutes. Shane Redshaw had one of the Bronco tallies, pushing his season total to 27. Andy Suey had the other. They shared 6 goals in the second period. Mike Eastwood had 2 for Western and Jeff Green the other, but still, the Bronco deficit was 1, trailing it 6-5. In the third, 3 more goals, and all that did was expand Northeastern's final margin of victory to 8-6. In the first night loss to Colgate, the Bronco defense had only allowed 26 shots against netminder Rob Laurie. In the second night loss, 46 Northeastern shots flew at the Bronco net as Laurie shared the game with Mike Power. In Cincinnati, it was the annual Riverfront Tournament. That involved a pair of CCHA teams, Miami and Ohio State. And the Buckeyes had the true short straw in that one. Their opening night assignment was against the Mustangs of Western Ontario. 12:59 into that one, OSU had the upper hand 2-0 behind tallies from Don Oliver and Derek Higdon. But it didn't last. Ontario nailed the next 4 of the game and added 1 more in the third, 3 of them on power plays, and skated off with a 5-3 verdict. Give credit for that win to Western Ontario's netminder Mike James. He only allowed 3 goals, and he faced 50 shots. Todd Fanning was in the net for Ohio State, and he faced a relatively small total of 32 shots. The other semifinal featured Miami against Cornell. Cornell broke on top with the game's opening goal, but the rest of it belonged to the Redskins. Specifically, it belonged to Craig Fisher. The sophomore forward had 2 goals and 2 assists in their 4-1 win. One of those goals was unassisted, and it was shorthanded. So the CCHA had split the first night in Cincinnati. The second night, it was worse. Ohio State dropped a 4-3 decision to Cornell in the consolation game. Goals by Paul Rutherford, Phil Cadman, and David Smith in the first period staked the Buckeyes to a 3-1 lead, but that was it for them, while Cornell got 1 in the second and 2 more in the third to win it. In the final, Miami and Western Ontario battled through the first 52 minutes of the game dead even at 4-all. Brendan Curley hit a 4-on-4 goal from Craig Fisher in the first period to stake the Redskins to a 1-0 lead after 20. Brendan Curley hit a short-hander, and Tom Nesio added another for the Skins in the second, both from Craig Fisher, while Ontario had 3 in that stanza. And it was a knot at 3 after 40 minutes of play. To that point in the tournament, 5 periods, Miami had scored 7 goals. And Craig Fisher had been in on all of them, 2 goals, 5 assists. In the third period of the final, his freight train stopped, and so did Miami's. Western hit a trio and skated off with the Riverfront Championship, beating Miami 6-4. Craig Fisher was the tournament's most valuable player for his performance. But Miami's power play was 0 for 12, and that was one of the reasons their coach, George Gwozdecki, was an unhappy man after the final.
You know, I thought our power play was good last night, and it's been good in the past, and during the week when we practice it, we have certain rules and certain guidelines we have to play by, and for some reason, quite a number of people forgot those, just didn't want to, use them, or thought they had a better idea, but it was very frustrating. We went 0 for 12 on the power play, and that's a sin.
The Lakers of Lake Superior State stayed right at home last weekend, hosting Alaska Fairbanks for a pair. Now, the Laker offense was explosive and in full song all through the series. Friday, behind 41 shots, they hit the twine 11 times in piling up an 11-5 verdict. The first period was wide open, and Frank Anzalone's bunch had nearly enough to win it when it was done with 5 markers. They came from 5 different players: Paul Constantin, Jim Dowd, Jeff Jablonski, Cord Cernich, and Jeff Naparella. At the same time, Fairbanks answered with 3 goals. In the second, 4 more for the Lakers. Sandy Moger had 2 of those. In the third, 1 more for Moger to finish a hat trick, while Pete Stauber knocked in his 14th of the campaign, and that was it. Brandon Reed had the goaltending start for Lake Superior. He left after 40 minutes with the Lakers in front 9-4, and freshman Brian Lukowski came on to get some playing minutes. The second night did not feature quite as much scoring, but it was probably just as satisfying for the Lakers altogether. Working in front of netminder Darren Madley this time, the Lakers hit the first 5 goals over the first 2 periods, 2 from Pete Stauber. They got 2 more in the third period from Jim Dowd and skated away with a solid 7-1 victory, as opposed to the night before when the Lakers' goaltending tandem had faced a total of 29 shots. Madley only had to contend with 19 on Saturday. The only one that eluded him was in the third period, and by then the only issue left was whether or not he could hang on for the shutout. In 2 nights, the Lakers had hit 18 goals. That from a team known most prominently for its defense. But it should not be a big surprise. The Laker offense has some firepower. In other games this year, they have scored 7 in a game on 1 occasion, 8 in a game on 3 other occasions, and 10 in a game another time. And of course, those were all victories. The other homestanding club last weekend was Ferris. The Bulldogs proved an unkind host to the Golden Flashes of Kent State. Friday, the final was 5-1. Ferris had the first 2 markers in the first period, both on power plays, and that would have proven enough for the win. Power play 1 came from Daniel Chaput, his second of the year. Daryl Philippek hit the other for the eventual game winner. In the second period, John Bergeron got his second of the campaign, while Mike Jorgensen had an unassisted goal in a 4-on-4 situation, and Rod Taylor got 1 more for John Perpich's Chargers in the third period. Saturday, the Bulldog offense was even stronger, and they prevailed 8-1. Ferris had the only score of the first period, a power play effort by Rod Taylor, and then hit for 7 straight in the second period. 2 of those with a man advantage, and all of them from a different player. Chuck Wiegand started the onslaught with the game winner at 4:17 with a man advantage. Taylor got his second of the night. Then Mike Jorgensen, Daryl Philippek, Bob Nardella, Mike Lalonde, and Chaput capped it off. Kent finally had one in the third with a 5-on-3 power play working, but obviously that was not near enough. Mike Williams was the winning goaltender in that one. Friday, the net-minding assignment had gone to Mark Felicio. Between them, they stopped all but 2 of 57 shots in the series. Coming up, the updated record, the upcoming series, the New Year preview. Stay with us.
To unlock your body's potential, we proudly offer Soloflex. 24 old-fashioned iron-pumping exercises, each correct in form and balance. All on the simple machine that fits in the corner of your home. For a free brochure, call anytime.
The Milt Wilcox Sports Saver now offers a 2-for-1 bonus pack. The Michigan Sports Calendar celebrating Michigan athletes and coaches and featuring all major sporting events. And the new Milt Wilcox Sports Saver with over 100 pages of free golf, skiing, bowling, and more. A $2,500 value, both for only $14.95. Available at these fine locations. Or call 1-800-852-3639. That's 1-800-852-3639.
Come celebrate the new decade this January with explosive sports action on Pass. Hit the hardwood with Chuck Daly's World Champion Pistons as they wind their way through 8 outstanding matchups, including games against the Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks, and Washington Bullets. The NHL skates your way too, with the Red Wings matching up against the Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, Minnesota North Stars, and St. Louis Blues. College basketball's in full tilt, too, featuring games from Western Michigan and the University of Detroit, plus bonus coverage with the MAC Game of the Week. Then check out our CCHA Game of the Week with key matchups headlining Western Michigan and Michigan State and Lake Superior battling Michigan. Keep your party hats handy for our extended pro boxing cards from Detroit, Los Angeles, and New York, in addition to monthly specials such as Tiger Diary, Power Stick Hockey Week, Senior League Baseball, and Ski Magazine from the Rockies. Start the decade of the 90s off right with Michigan's top sports action throughout January on Pass Sports.
At the dawn of 1990, let's take a couple of moments to put some perspective on the CCHA season. A look at the overall records first. In this category, we find two teams with an equal number of victories. Lake Superior and Michigan State have both captured 18. Now, the Spartans have played one more game than the Lakers. That will even out in February when the Lakers play two non-conference games at Maine, while Michigan State has just one more non-conference game to play. The second-best victory total on the year now belongs to Michigan with 14, followed closely by Bowling Green. Western, after losing 2 in the Syracuse tournament, is below 500 in the overall picture. So are the rest of the teams in the league. Now, the league standings stay right where they've been for the last few weeks. Michigan State up front by a couple of points over Lake Superior, with Bowling Green and Michigan at least within striking distance. This weekend, Michigan State travels to UIC and should, all things remaining equal, come away with 4 points. At the same time, Lake Superior is on the road against Michigan. That won't be easy.
We have to just go into Yost Arena like we go into any other arena. We have to play hard, check hard. We have to stay out of the penalty box, and we just have to go at Michigan toe-to-toe and make them show how bad they want it. But it's going to be a tough weekend for us. I think we're a good team. I think we're very capable of beating Michigan. But I think right now, Michigan, again, as it was last time at this year, is probably at a very high emotional level. They feel that they can do it this weekend, and we have to go in there feeling, hey, we had a great game against Fairbanks checking-wise. Certainly we can't rank our season against Fairbanks. Fairbanks is an independent, but you still have to beat them. We just have to go in there saying, hey, we've got to work hard, check hard, make sure we keep some of the top Michigan players off the scoreboard, and we have to get to Sharples, who's a heck of a goaltender.
Bowling Green is at home against Western Michigan this week. Ohio State is at Ferris State. Miami is out of the league as they host Michigan Dearborn for 2 games. Now, it's very possible that the standings themselves might not change, but the point totals surely could swing considerably. As I mentioned, Michigan State is on the road for 2 games this weekend. The fact of the matter is, they're on the road for almost all of the second half. If the Spartans are to win their second straight regular season title, they are going to have to do it on the road. They have 14 games left, 11 away from Munn Arena. In addition to this weekend at UIC, they travel to Ohio State, Miami, and Lake Superior for 2-game sets. They have home-and-home series left with Michigan, Bowling Green, and Western Michigan. The Lakers have a much better balance for their remaining league schedule, 8 at home, 6 on the road. In addition to the trip to Michigan this weekend, they will also go to Ferris and Western Michigan for 2-game sets. Their home schedule is UIC, Bowling Green, and Ohio State, along with the season-ending set with Michigan State. Now, the mix may well give the Lakers the edge before it's done. Bowling Green and Michigan also have 8 home games and 6 road games left in the league. Western Michigan, with 2 games in hand on the rest of the teams, has 7 at home and 9 on the road. Ferris and UIC could make some hay if they can make their home dates pay off. Ohio State has a problem, though, with only 4 left at home out of 14. Miami is dead even, 7 and 7. It will be interesting, that's for sure. And that will do it for this edition of the CCHA Digest. We'll be back next week with more. This weekend, Larry Osterman and I will be at Yost Ice Arena in Ann Arbor for the second game of the series between Michigan and Lake Superior. You can see that game here on Pass Sunday evening as the CCHA Game of the Week series resumes. Until then, on behalf of our entire crew, may I once again wish you all a very happy new year. So long, everybody.